All right, so you're seeing this video now that I've edited in front of the main video because something pretty interesting has just happened that I wanted to tell you about first. And another thing, this woman is getting set up in crypto. Very first time, very recently, she got on Coinbase. Pete, my buddy Pete helped her get on there. But she wants to diversify a bit, get into some of the coins. Matter of fact, some of the coins she's going to talk about tonight, and also ones that are going to be on her blog that we're not going to talk about tonight, but you will be able to see tonight on her blog, which I will link all that stuff. But the main coin, you'll see, and you're going to want to hear what she says in this video, rather than just what her blog says. And that's later. But I wanted to tell you a little experiment that I was doing that she didn't know I was doing, that I asked her about at the very end, that I did not record. Reason being, I never told her I was going to do an experiment, and it wouldn't be right for me to put her on the spot while we were recording. I just didn't have it in me to do that. So when you hear me say, oh, at the end I ended the video, I stopped recording, but then I just talked to her, and I'm like, oh, hey, by the way, do you want to do a little experiment real quick? She's like, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, I've got something in my hand. And, her last name's Whitedove. And she's going, oh, you're being a smartass. It's probably a dove or something. And I'm like, no. She's like, all right, let me see. Is it one of these crypto? Was it Bitcoin or something? And I'm like, nope, not quite. And I actually had this stack, little bank notes, whatever, dollar bills in there, in an envelope. Except here's the thing. Before I decided to hold that stack, and even before the interview, I made my mind up that I want to use that stack. That's going to be the target that I'd like to see if she can pick up on. This, these little fake Bitcoins, $2 on eBay, right? I had this sitting here on my desk where it has always been for the longest time. And when I got in here and I thought I want to do a little experiment, my first thing was, it'll be that Bitcoin. I'll hold that Bitcoin, which again, you can't hold. It's not real. You can't hold a Bitcoin. It's fake. It's still a coin though, right? I'm like, I'll hold that in my hand. See if she can pick up on that. But I was like, well, it's gold colored. It looks like a gold coin. That's, and it's like, and it's a Bitcoin. How is she going to describe it being a Bitcoin? There's no such thing really. There's no real coin that's a Bitcoin. So how is she going to even describe a Bitcoin in my hand, right? So I was like, that's stupid, Joe. Dumb idea. So I put it back down. I've got this cash sitting next to me that I'm about to bring in the house. Okay, I'll use that instead. I'll just hold that at the end and ask her if she can pick up on it. Spirit said, F this. Dollar bills? Pfft. You're holding a Bitcoin. I wasn't actually holding it, but I was originally holding it, and that was my original target until I changed my mind because I thought it would be too difficult, too hard. That was why I changed my mind. Well, let me give her, a stack envelope with some bills in there. A little easier target, like can't mistake that. But Spirit's basically saying, no, we'll go with the hard one, thanks. You're holding a Bitcoin. Not really, because no Bitcoin exists, right? But yes, I was. I was holding this damn thing. That was my original target. I grabbed it and I'm like, yeah, I'll use that. No, she might not get that because it looks like a coin. She might think it's a gold coin. But it's not even gold. It's actually fake. It just looks like gold. It's not gold. It's $2 piece of garbage from eBay. Put it down. No, stupid. What else can I use? I'm looking around. Oh, that stack of money. Who cares? Whatever. That just happened. But when I tell somebody, okay, I stopped recording and, I want to chat with you after this, I stopped recording. I'm not going to secretly re-record. That's just wrong. And, Snippy, he's a very honorable guy. So all I'm going to say is you're going to have to take my word for this. But I felt compelled enough that I had to freaking come out here and do a video to tell you and put it in the front of this thing because it just blew my mind. Thanks. So this coin you're about to hear about in the video, there's not exactly a price prediction other than it's going into the such and suches. All I'm going to say is this coin is It's probably about to spike big. Maybe bigger than I've ever seen before in my life. And I'm going to watch it tonight and go crazy. Because if what she says happens, and it's not short term, it's not get rich quick, it's not. It's one of these ones you're going to have to wait on. I don't know the time frame, but she did say it won't be as long as you think. Joe, I can tell you right now, you and your analytical mind, it'll be faster, it'll be quicker than you think. That's what she says to me. Okay? Be prepared. I'm telling you now in advance to be blown away. When she told Pete, that coin will make you rich. If what Spirit told her is true, some people are fixing to get paid. I will warn you now, like I warn you later, and she does too. Never, ever, ever put more than you can afford to lose in any of these. Never, ever, ever. She can't stress it enough. And she said, I'm not going to tell people when to get out. And I said, I don't either, because then you get the blame for it no matter what. No matter if they get out at the wrong time, maybe you thought it was the right time, it went up more, they're upset that they sold off. I said, believe me, I'm with you on that. I don't do that either. But she thinks these coins that she discusses are going to do well, and there's going to be even more listed on her blog, including the main one. But you're going to have to watch this video first before you see it over there on their blog. And because I don't know if she's going to post the details that we talked about on her blog. So you're going to want to hear it. I'm almost speechless thinking of the numbers of the possibilities of this. It's just like I almost can't believe it. But then again, she said I was going to do it holding a Bitcoin, and I was originally, and I changed my mind because I thought it would be too hard, too difficult, it was stupid. Spirit says, no, we're going to go with that one. You're holding a Bitcoin. Yes, Big 10-4. That was the one. So anyways, get ready for it. It's going to be interesting. However, now this is me to you. Psychic people, they have the gift to tell people things and, investment advice, all that stuff. But none of that ever comes back to them. It's almost like Spirit, you're here for a different mission in life. And it ain't to get rich. So while I'm your spirit guide or whatever, I'm not going to enrich you with give you big fat pockets, like, give lottery numbers for you. Not happening. You can ask any psychic that. You know old J Step 4. People who give and give and give and do things, and they don't really get stuff back. Does anyone ever give them anything? Well, she charges for readings, of course. That's her job. That's how she makes her living. But does anyone give? I happen to have her Litecoin address. All I'm going to say is, if you feel compelled, kind of like I do, to be honest with you, to get this lady started off right in crypto, I'm going to put up her Litecoin address in this video. She doesn't know I'm doing this. I didn't tell her I was doing this. She didn't ask, but I do have her Litecoin address. And maybe she deserves a couple, maybe she deserves a little help this time. And if you want to, go for it. If you don't, you don't have to. These videos are free. Enjoy what you're about to hear. But again, I'm the kind of guy, someone gives me a freaking tip or gives me something that, I want to give. I can't help giving. Steven's begging me, stop giving me some of these. Steven, I got to give you some. You've been helping me so much in these crypto songs, dude. I got to help you. I love it. No, stop giving me that stuff. No. I'm compelled. I got to give you a couple of cryptos. I got to fatten up your portfolio a little bit. I just had to. And it's another thing I feel like I want to get her started right. And she does happen to live in Florida. A little bit of a drive for me, but I'm going there Saturday. Got to help her get set up with all the hardware wallets, the Nano S's, get her set up. She wants to get some of these crypto, and I want to help her do it. And anyway, so I'm going to put up her Litecoin address. Whether you want to donate, that's up to you. Again, I just feel compelled to do it. Just to, people give, her whole life is about reading people and all the stuff that goes with that, and the, talk to my dead, relative. What are they saying? Or, what investment advice, no one ever she doesn't get to do that. You know what? Cryptos are that thing. Hook a sister up. That's where I'm going. Whether you follow me or not, I don't care. I'm going there. So enjoy the video you're about to see. Well, everybody, the time has come. I've been counting the days since we found out that hey, this incredible psychic medium was going to be on my Realist News show through a kind of a mutual friend, Pete, and he was just texting me a few minutes ago. You know, he was all excited too. A poor guy. You may recognize her now that you finally get to know who she is. I've been keeping it a secret from everybody, and her name is Michelle Whitedove. She's been on all kinds of TV shows. She was on A&E's American Psychic Challenge, I think is what it was called, a few years back. It was funny because I remember watching that show, and I remember you walking over. You know, the one part of the challenge was they buried a guy on 10 acres, and the psychics had to find him and drop a little card on the ground wherever the spot is you think it. And he's like, you know, the guy's like, all right, I need your answer. What do you think it is? And you're like, Spirit said, drop it right now. Boom. And you dropped it right on the ground, and sure enough, that son of a gun was right under there. And I was like, wow, you know, this is just so incredible. I love that stuff. Some other shows she's been on. She's been on HBO. She's been on the Today Show. She was actually labeled as America's #1 psychic by Lifetime TV after proving her supernatural abilities on the competitive reality show America's Psychic Challenge, which we just talked about, and it is on YouTube for people to go find and look at. Her psychic medium abilities have been filmed and tested on television, both in the USA and internationally, tested on TV more than any other American medium. She is the first psychic to prove her superior gifts while filmed under the strict FCC rules to guarantee authenticity. As an expert in her field, she has been featured on HBO, Bravo, Lifetime, ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, NPR, PBS, WGN. And I'll say this in the appropriate tongue, El Telemundo. City TV and Breakfast TV in Canada, Sony TV in Japan, and W in Australia. Whitedove is an author and futurist. She has blogged predictions since 1999. You can find them on her website, which is michellewhitedove.com, and that is with 2 L's, michellewhitedove.com. And for everybody listening, I'll be putting up links in the description box, as I always do in stuff like this. You can go right to her website. You're also going to be in Lilydale, New York, August 25th, correct?
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
So
That's
if
it's
anyone wants to make plans to see her in person, you can actually go there, and she'll be giving the audience messages. And again, you can go find out more about that on her website, michellewhitedove.com. So, how crazy is it in the life of a psychic medium of your caliber that you must have a backlog a mile long of people wanting to get readings?
it's pretty crazy, but you know, I take it one day at a time, being fully present in the moment and giving it everything I got, 110%.
So, can you kind of, because I've been like poking around your blog out of control. Like I've been out of control reading everything about it and all these stories and how it started. And while I know a lot of the answers, everyone else may not. And you say you were born with this gift, but I think you had a near death experience at one point that really did it kind of sharpen it, or can you talk about that?
Oh, yes, very much so. I had a near-death experience at the age of 18. It was a fatal car collision, and there were five of us, family and friends. And yes, being that I was born this way, I know Lady Gaga says that, but I'm older than her. I was born this way, naturally gifted. But I suppressed my gifts because it was very taboo. You know, it took me till about the age of 8 to realize, whoa, everybody's not seeing what I'm seeing or knowing what I know. And so then I just zipped it, you know, and closed my mouth until I was 18. And we were actually celebrating my cousin's remission for 2 types of leukemia. And he asked me to get in the car and go, you know, with the family and friends. And I said, you know, I just really have a bad feeling about this. I just don't want to get in the car. Make a long story short, pack your bags, you're going on a guilt trip. 2 hours it took him, but he talked me into it. Got in the car. I don't get in the back seat because I get car sick. So I was riding shotgun. There was five of us. And all of a sudden, I just heard like this booming voice came out of me, and it was my guardian angel. Stop the car. Who wants to trade places with me? And I was kind of half in and half out, you know.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine, Stevie, he said, I'll trade places with you. And my cousin stops the car and she looks at me and she goes, what's wrong with you? You get sick, if you go in that. Completely ignored her, didn't even hardly was aware of that. And long story short, I jumped out, got in the back next to Joey, my cousin, who had, was in recovery from leukemia, in remission, I should say. And Stevie traded places with me, but actually he gave up his life for me. That's really the bottom line of it. And people say, oh, we're just going to go down the street or just going to run around the corner and pick up some milk. Well, this was in Daytona, Highway 40, right there with Volusia County Speedway. And we no sooner got in the car, and 2 blocks down, the dog runs out in front of the car, and my older cousin, veers to not hit the dog, but to go in the field. But there were people working in the field. So she, goes on to the oncoming traffic, and we have a head-on collision at 45 miles an hour. Stevie died where I was sitting, where he traded places with me that day. My cousin died. I died. And I was really pretty much, where they time you, okay, she's dead, bag her up, and needless to say, they brought me back, and then I was in a coma for weeks. And in that coma, a lot of people ask if, their loved ones that come, are we aware that they're there, their visitations, what they say. And the answer to that is yes. But after this whole experience that I had in dying, crossing over, and coming back, I remember I thought I had a really good argument at 18. You think you know everything,
Oh
you
yeah.
know nothing. I was very pompous and arrogant. And I said to Spirit, I know the rules. You have to let me pass, free will. And Spirit said, all right, we got a difficult one here. All right, roll the tapes back. So they showed me my 18 years. It's like a life review. And I said, see, that's a really crappy planet and a really crappy life. And I want to move forward. And they go, okay, roll the tapes forward. And what they did was they showed me my life if I came back, to my body at 18, if I returned of my own free will. And they had to show me 3 times before I finally said, okay, I accept this. I raise my hand for this mission. This would be very selfish of me not to go back, being that Stevie gave up his life that day. But I had a lot of questions, with Spirit about, for example, my cousin, because he was in remission, and I thought that was quite cruel that he was taken out. But no sooner did I form the thought, the question was answered with such clarity. Let's just say there's no lack of communication in Spirit. And so they explained that to me, and I ended up coming back and thinking, all right, you know what? I'm just going to come back. I'm going to hurry up. I'm going to do everything that God showed me I need to do, meet my quota, and get back to heaven. Well, I'm still here.
Meet your quota.
Yeah, obviously I haven't met that quota. But I will say this, the biggest gift that I got out of my near-death experience was knowing heaven in a way that, we don't consciously know. It's more subconsciously in our higher self. I remember this was more vivid and lucid and real than, life. We would say here, my experience in going over into the heavens and coming back, and also the interaction that I had being in a coma for weeks, and then even after that, the promises that Spirit made to me, because I was paralyzed. My body was completely broken. The only thing that I could move was my left hand. And I said to Spirit, well, I'll go back, but how do you expect me to go back to a body that's roadkill, And Spirit said to me, you let me worry about the miracle. I'll perform the miracle. You just have to, are you willing to go back and do it or not? And I said, yes, but, I can't deal with that pain. What about my, being paralyzed? And with every question was an immediate answer saying that, all those miracles would be performed for me just go back to do, fulfill my contract in serving humanity with my gift and showing the world that there truly are people that are gifted and can use their gifts for the good of all, and that is by the grace of God.
So
And
when you were, I guess, talking with Spirit at that time, and you're like, look at my last 18 years, and then they say, okay, well, let's show you forward what you're going to be doing. What did you get
yeah.
to see? Did you just basically see yourself giving readings to people and helping people that way?
Oh no, much more, much more. Everything that I've done thus far, I've seen, and I still have much more to do that I know what I'm to do. And I guess that's the blessing, isn't it? Because how many people can literally say, oh, I know exactly why I'm here in this incarnation,
Yeah.
and I know exactly what my contract is, and I know exactly how to do it. So that was the gift that I got, was the profound wisdom and clarity of knowing the heavens, knowing spirit, being welcomed. My family's like, go back, go back. And also knowing, more importantly, not only the 18 years, but how many people get to see their future 3 times and get all their all their questions answered. And, and on top of that, God said, listen, I'll take care of the miracles. Please just go back. And so not only did I come back, but I came back with such, um, just blew the doctors away. One, I came out of the coma. They were constantly every other day, she's not going to make it. She's not going to make it, And this
Yep.
went on. And then even after the coma, I came out of the coma, I was in ICU. And then they wanted to move me to a hospital here in Miami. And I never even made it to the hospital in Miami. I made it to a mattress on the floor. That's a
Wow.
whole other story. But let me just say this, everything that Spirit promised me, they delivered. And so I said that I was committed and that I would fulfill the contract and, what it is that God set out for me to do.
That's incredible. You or maybe I should say it this way: did you not predict the tsunami from Fukushima in advance?
Oh, way in advance. Yes, I did. Actually, I predicted the tsunami in 2011. I'm sorry, 2006. That's a long time, right?
Yeah,
2006.
5 years.
And then I even predicted it again in, let's see, 2006, but I also, 2011, yes, mentioned it again. And get this, I'm on a cruise boat, a sacred site cruise. And as this tsunami hits, I have everybody calling up my suite. We're all gonna die. We need a reading. Are we gonna make it back to
Oh God.
California? And just this mass hysteria. But really, more importantly, what touched my heart, because I had to speak, on this cruise to a large group of people that were on the cruise on my behalf and others. And it just so happened that I refused to do what it was that I was going to speak about. And I asked everybody that was in the group to see me, that I wanted to take a matter of 10 minutes, let's say 15 minutes, and send our prayers, love, and light to Japan and to the people, and to have a positive impact so, that we can make a difference. Well, little did I know that in the back of the room, there were all of these Japanese people
Oh
that
wow.
were not a part of the Sacred Site cruise with me, but heard about me and, came in on my event. So as I did the prayer and then I started to do my event, and, everybody came up and took photos and I answered their questions and whatnot. Well, all of a sudden I see this long line of Japanese people. I should say Asian people. I didn't
Yeah.
know they were from Japan at the time. And they were the most humble and gracious, loving people. They all waited until the whole room was cleared, and they bowed their head down to me, Namasan, and thanking me over and over for my kindness, for the prayers, for, you know, praying for their family and their people. And it really touched their heart, and more so, it really touched my soul.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy to hear on the boat that once the tsunami's coming and all those Japanese people just happen to be there too.
Yeah, is that crazy? And you know, the funny thing is, everybody was freaking out. And I, look, guys, the safest place for us to be is exactly where we are in the middle of the sea.
Yeah.
And I said, the worst case scenario, we're going to feel a little bump, right? Well, everybody's, you know, freaking out. I'm in bed laughing like, this is going to be a great night. I'm going to be rockabye, you know, rockabye baby. And sure enough, I felt like this one big, you know, wave, like where I could feel that it hit. But it really, there was no destruction, there was no harm that came to anyone, and that was it.
Wow. Is it difficult to see like a detailed timeline when you look out into the future?
The most difficult thing for, I think, any psychic or special or medium, first of all, um, psychics are not mediums. All mediums are psychics, though.
Okay.
It's like an advancement, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I refer to myself as a spiritual medium. I
Okay.
am a psychic, but I'm a medium, which mediumship means that you're conversing with the other side, with loved
Gotcha.
ones, with angels, with spirit guides, you know, that
So
type of
so
thing.
you can kind of do like what John Edwards and that kind of stuff, where people can contact you and ask about loved ones that have passed and all that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a very common thing.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. You kind of have you know, there's the old saying, "Jack of all trades, master of none." I think you might have the jack of all trades and our master of all.
Ah, you're
Maybe.
too kind, too kind.
So, um, what kind of crazy tests have you been given? They say
Oh,
you're like the most tested medium ever, like in America, to test your supernatural abilities. What kind of tests have you been given?
oh my goodness. Well, first of all, America's Psychic Challenge, that was crazy because we were all split up. There were 15 or 16 of us, and they would drive us around, spin us around, you know, try to mix you up. You know, you didn't know where you were at, what you were going to do. Everything was a test. And at the time, it actually, that opportunity was given to me 3 times, and I passed on it. Actually, it was the third time when I had them revise the contract that I agreed to do it. But what I would like everybody to know is I knew nothing about the money. Nobody did, actually, until I came onto the show on the third episode. And I remember I was in prayer and meditation, and they didn't tell you anything. You were just brought to wherever they would take you to the test, let's say. And I remember one of the first tests, they had me in the car, and Spirit had already told me what the test was and what the answer was. So when I got out and the host says, "Hey, you know, I'm John Burke. Hi, Michelle Whitedove. And I'm here." And I said, "Stop. I know exactly what you want me to do. Let me guess. I'm in a parking lot and you want me to find somebody in the trunk of this parking lot." And he goes, "Are you, you know, he was completely dumbfounded. And he goes, "Well, I guess you really are psychic. I didn't even need to tell you to what the test was." So I said, "Okay, do we begin?" And he said, "Well, sure, go." So I immediately went directly to the car, and I said, "This is the car." He goes, "Really, that fast? You're just like that? This is the car?" I said, "Yep, just like that. This is the car, the
Okay,
red car."
so walk me through that. When that's happening, he says go. Is Spirit like literally talking to you saying go to the
Yes,
red car, or are they showing you the red car? Is it a
they
voice? Is it a
already.
sight?
Yes, they show me like think about seeing a movie in your head, you know.
Okay.
Okay, so I can see it being played out like a movie or like a sizzle reel, or, you know, however you want to put it. Sometimes even like photos or images. I also will feel. Let's say if someone passed from a heart attack, I'll feel like I'm having a heart attack. Not too fun for me, but that's how I get it. So I see, I hear, I feel, I smell, I taste, I know, and I'm one with Father, Mother, God, Holy Spirit. So I'm very diversified. I'm not only a spiritual medium, but I'm also a health intuitive. I also work murder cases, a multitude of gifts I have. I'm very diversified, and I like that because I like to be able to help people in many different ways.
Yeah, that
So,
is good because you don't have to see this. It's not always the same exact thing over and over. You know, it's like going
exactly.
to doing something in your life over and over. It's like I want to do something else, or give me a little variety of something.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. I'm not the 9 to 5 kind of person behind the desk. That's for sure. So as soon as I said, "Can I go?" he said, "Sure, go." And I just like what I'm all dressed up in big high heels, and it was so hot. I remember my heels were literally sinking into the asphalt, and I just went right over to the red car and I said, "This is the car." And you were timed on every test.
yeah,
So I only had 10 minutes. I could be wrong, but I believe it was 10 minutes for the short test, the extreme test. I think it was 30 minutes. Everything was timed. But within a matter of 2 minutes, I found the guy, found the car, and all right, open up the trunk, and then the guy comes out. And to be honest with you, I thought he was going to have a heat stroke because I know I was about to.
oh
So
yeah. And
that blew everybody
how about the
away.
guy underground? I bet he was a little warm.
He get this, he was a redhead too. It was hilarious. I said, it figures you were a redhead. You're only crazy enough to get in this car when it's like 112 degrees. They were having a heat wave in
Yeah,
LA. So that was one of the crazy tests. But then the other tests were really pretty crazy too. For example, I had to find a boy that was hiding in 17 acres, and I had 30 minutes to do it. And I had a heat stroke, but I still managed to come 50, yes, 50, help me out here, Shantae, 50 yards, I believe. If you came 50 yards, you would get 10 points, and if you got them spot on, that was either 20 or 25 points.
yeah.
I can't remember. There are clips of it. And I would have got to him as I was inching my way, but I literally had a heat stroke, but they didn't show you that on America's Psychic Challenge. But then after that, what's really, really funny, and I have never said this on the air, is I won't say, but somebody that was competing at that time had said to the other, psychics, "Oh, good, she's out. Great. That means, good. One of us will get it. She
Yeah, instead
won't
of
get
her.
it." Because, the paramedics were called and they were icing me down and they thought I was out of the game. Well, once I heard that, I thought that was just the cruelest thing. How
Yeah.
could she wish me dead? Well, I should thank that person because it gave me the strength to get up. I got so mad. We went to the next test, and the host goes, "All right, Michelle." And I go, "Stop. I already have my answer." He goes, "But I haven't even told you the test." I said, "I don't care. I already have my answer." And he goes, "Well, don't you want to go over to one of the doors and feel anything?" I said, "No, I told you, door number one." And there were basically these doors lined up, and you had to find a door, pick the right one out of, I think, five that had no emotion or no human body in there.
Yeah.
And so I immediately said, door number one. So he goes, "All right, let's go over there and see." Open it up, sure enough, bing, got it. Nailed it, done. So
that's
that kind of blew them away. That was fun.
that's got to be fun. Yeah, I was gonna say, that's got to be fun. Even though you're inundated with psychic readings and challenges all over the place, and people calling and going all over the planet to do things, it still has to be awesome to just say, nailed it. Like got it.
It
A little
was.
pat on the back.
Yeah, no. And then the one that really, I have to say, blew my mind, I didn't even know this. I remember the final. We were coming up to the finals. Basically, it was between two of us. And I think, yeah, they said to me, they took me to the area where I was to be tested, and they said, "Okay, Michelle, here's a photo. Now you have 30 minutes. You have to find a man that's buried 6 feet under and 10 acres."
Yeah, I remember that one. That one I'll never forget it because that's like the only thing I remember from the show. You
Oh,
standing over this guy, and you're like, all right, Spirit said drop it right here. Boom. And I'm
and
like,
I went,
he's
if you
right there.
watch it, yeah, if you watch it, I literally
Oh,
went right to him immediately because as soon as they told me go, I said, "Oh my God, this guy's gonna die," and so am I because it was like 112, 115 degrees. So I'm here, I'm wearing somebody else's sneakers. They weren't even mine because I had heels. I didn't know, and I'm running, and I just literally like went there, and Spirit said, "Just drop the photo." And it so happened that I dropped the photo in the middle of where the guy was buried. And so they go, "Diggers, come," and they start digging him up. And I was like, wow, I did not know I could do that one.
and I think you said because he was like, all right, we need an answer or something. And you're like, all right, boom, you dropped it. Was it Spirit again, just saying now, or like,
No,
drop the
Spirit's
car,
like, drop it now, do it.
drop it.
So I did.
That's funny. That's so cool, man. I look at stuff like that, and I know you're so busy in your life, and it is stressful. I know, I'm sure you're well aware of Edgar Cayce and that kind of thing. He's one of my favorites of all time. History
He
books
actually, yeah, he's my favorite.
of psychics. He just lay down and do his thing, and I remember hearing how, people would come in with their greedy, make me rich. Which one's gonna win the horse race? And he'd get kind of sick afterwards until they figured out later what was making him sick was all the greedy people, asking him questions. So they had to start fielding the questions. Do you find that happens to you, or do you not really deal with those kind of questions?
Oh no, I get those questions, and I do find a lot of greed, a lot of greed. And really that's our downfall, is greed and gluttony. And that's something that, people define themselves based on their titles or what they have, and
Yeah,
really what defines us is what we do unto others, what we make. We have two birthrights, one free will and the other birthright is of co-creation. And when you're coming from a pure intent, and not only a pure intent but believing in something greater that you're a part of, which is spirit, I think it's very presumptuous of us to think, oh yeah, we're the only group of God's children. When you
sure.
look up there in all those stars, and
Yeah,
have they been discovered? No. And look at the ocean. What's been discovered there? I think what, 5%, 7%?
yeah. It's a tiny amount, almost
It's
nothing.
a very, very tiny amount. And I lost my flow there. I don't even know where I was going with that.
Yeah, no.
But greed, gluttony, yes. Oh, give me the 6 winning lotto numbers. And I said, well, if I had those, I would have already played them for myself. And I would be sitting at home on the couch eating bum bums and watching TV. And that's why I don't have them.
Yeah, and Spirit is not. In all fairness, is it safe to say Spirit's? You have your goal, or not really goal, your mission in life, so to speak, as you described earlier. Part of that mission is not Spirit telling you how to get rich,
That is correct.
but
It
helping
is
other people.
never for, it's never, see, the ego is not our friend in this work. So, for me, I've had years to master, prayer and meditation. And, I have a very, very close connection to spirit. And that's the voice that I trust. Ever since I was a little girl, it's always been spot on. And only when I do not listen to it, I find myself in a big mess, like the car accident.
Yeah,
So when they say go, I go, and if they say, and believe me, I've heard some crazy things through readings. And if I thought about it, I wouldn't say it, but I don't think about it. It's just a knowing. It's just like, I remember one time I had a lady in front of me, and she wanted me to channel her mother that had passed, but she didn't, say anything. She was just sitting in front of me, and not a happy camper. And so I'm like, okay, I have your mother here, and I see you by her side, and she had cancer, and that's how she passed. And I'm like, I got the name and the illness, and like I'm just like, I think I'm nailing it, right? And I kept hearing these three things, but I just thought they were so crazy I wouldn't say it. So at the end of the reading, I just saw this purse face. She looked so unhappy. I couldn't figure it out. So I finally looked at her and I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say this because I've heard it 3 times, and at this point, I don't have anything to lose because you don't look like you're too happy. I hear boot, scoot, and boogie. The lady went into hysterics and almost fell out of the chair, and she goes, now I know with 110% certainty that you are accurate because her mother and her made a deal at the bed, when she was
Yes.
by her bed, that if life goes on after, life here, and if she was to come through, that the 3 words were boot, scoot, and boogie.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure you could have made that up. You
Yeah.
could have picked that one out. Come on.
Oh, I heard it, but the ego is like, nah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And that's where you just can't let the ego in.
Yeah. So I'm sure everybody listening to my show right now, when the recording goes live, anyways, is dying. Joe, get to cryptos. Shut up and get to crypto. I could feel them, and they don't even know what's happening yet. So I was like,
Right?
all right, let's talk about a little crypto. So you and I both know Pete. I've mentioned his name on my channel. He doesn't mind at all.
Oh,
Um,
I love him.
Pete's such a cool guy. I love that guy. And
Yeah.
he's telling me one day recently, Joe, I need your help again. You helped me get into some cryptos a while back. I really appreciate that. And there's one I'm having trouble with, and I think it's gonna be a good one. I want to tell you the story and blah blah blah. And he tells me the coin, and I'm like, I haven't heard of that one. He goes, neither have I. But this woman who is an incredible psychic told me about it, and wasn't even through me. It was actually through a friend, an acquaintance friend, that during their reading. So I kind of asked you a little bit about this in advance. So can you kind of tell that story again? We don't have to give the person's name or anything, but how that particular person was getting a reading, and they actually asked you about financial stuff and crypto, which then I guess led Spirit to tell you, hey, I need to talk to Pete. Can you kind of tell that one again?
Well, yes, I was reading for Pete's friend, and I knew they were friends. Uh, no, no, no. Yeah. We're talking about Pete and the friend. Well, I was reading for his friend, and she was asking me about some of the cryptocurrencies, and I won't say who she is. Just
Yeah.
that I tipped her off on some that she didn't know of, and then I said, "Oh, you have to call Pete and tell Pete." Because I knew that Pete, they were friends, and Spirit said, gave me the okay, the green light to like tell her to tell Pete, so he knew as well.
So all right, so I gotta stop because I don't have this ability. So when I hear something, my mind's like I gotta know how that happens. So how does Spirit tell you that? Like when you're reading her, all of a sudden Spirit just says, "Oh, ooh," like tell Pete, or like you said, I had to get the green light. What does that like? What does that mean? How does that happen?
Spirit gave me the green light by saying yes. Go ahead and have her tell your friend, her friend Pete, what it was that I tipped her off, so that Pete was tipped off as well.
So at that point, you were okay. Spirit gave me the okay because essentially Spirit may not have, and if that was the case, you would have never even had her call Pete,
That is correct.
right? And then maybe it'd been up to them if they decided to tell Pete also,
That is
but that'd be
correct,
them.
because every reading is confidential, and
Yeah,
that's an oath that I take with God, and I do not break that oath. I don't care who it is.
sure.
Every reading is confidential.
All right, so let's
Oh, wait,
I
wait,
wonder.
wait. Wait a minute,
Yeah.
Joe. There's a good one you asked me. 2006. 2006 is when I got the information from Spirit that there would be a new form of currency for the people, and I called it at that time virtual currency. And then virtual currency, then they came out, and then clients would call and ask, and then before I know it, different things would come out of my mouth. Whatever it was that Spirit gave me, I gave. And then sometimes my clients will call me and ask me about different business, ventures, or even now, these currencies. I call them virtual currencies, but I
Yeah.
guess they're called
It
cryptocurrencies, are really hot now. So a lot of people will call me and ask my counsel on, what to invest in.
and I guess it's okay. Again, the whole financial make me rich. It's not necessarily someone calling you to get rich, but so I mean, I guess even if it is, I guess spirit will either tell you or not tell you, or just like,
No, spirit always tells me. I can only tell the person what spirit tells me.
and spirit may have a message for them that maybe they didn't want to hear anyways,
Oh,
possibly.
that happens all the time. That happens all the time.
So
I
let's
always warn
go,
people, I'm very brutally honest.
yeah, and I wouldn't, personally, I wouldn't want any other way. If you were going to tell me, look, Joe, you've spirits tell me you've got some cancer developing in your left foot or something.
I
Um,
have done that
hey,
before, but you're
you know,
good.
I'm appreciate that. Spirit, if you're listening, if there's any health issues, let her know. I'm okay. You can broadcast it to the world. I'm all right. I'll take it, and I'll promise I'll do whatever you say. I want to be around for a while.
No, you're good. You're good.
uh,
But
so
I do want to say this, Joe, that I want to say to everybody, cryptos are kind of like gambling. It's that's how I look at it, and I'm here giving tips on the best ones, and also if you want to jump in, but if you want to have your ear, or wait a minute, I'm trying to get this right. Basically, what I'm saying is do not gamble with your life savings.
yes,
Only use your disposable cash. Don't make this like a way of, okay, this is going to make me rich.
yeah,
This
mortgage the
is
house.
right, right. And if I have to be very careful with my words because my words have weight, and so that's like if let's just say I carry a very large cross on my back because
Yes.
I'm dealing with people's lives, their health, their family, their children, their money, their everything, and I take that very seriously.
Yeah, and I saw one of the because everyone listening, we had a couple of talking points that we knew we were going to go over, and she did make it very clear for everybody, like what she just said. And I've said this a million times myself to you guys, so you know you got to listen. Don't put more in this than you can ever afford to lose.
Exactly.
That's anything. Whether you're going to Vegas, whether you're going to go get a 401k or play the stock market, any of that. You guys know me. Not a fan of the stock market, but boy, am I a fan of crypto and just how this all worked. So, um,
You, that's
I want,
really good. Joe, what
yeah,
you just said, I literally said, I am not a fan of the stock market. I would not even I don't advise my people to go into the stock market. I'm actually a fan of the cryptocurrencies.
and was that also 2016 when you started to feel or well, it was first, it was 2006, I should say, about the cryptocurrency. But then
Yeah,
as time has gotten more recent times, has Spirit kind of led you to feel, to say that, to basically say, yeah,
yeah,
this is definitely staying. This is the future. This is good for
yeah.
people, that kind of thing?
Yes, yes. And it's not just that. It's also really these days, we need a plan A, B, C. And, you have to understand, I kind of refer to the cryptocurrencies as a black market for the people. You follow me?
Yes.
Where let's face it, in Wall Street with that, it's manipulated. It's that simple. It's manipulated. And I would like to say, as a prediction, I do not see the Wall Street going. I actually see it bottoming out this year.
Well, as in stock market.
Yes, the stock market.
So it'll kind of hit their high and then kind of just,
Yes, I'm looking for the term. It predetermined set point low. That's there to save their butts. It will bottom out to their predetermined net or safety net. And that's why I'm not saying to the people, oh, put your money in the stock market. No, what I do say to the people is what you need today is, yes, still cash. Yes, still plastic. Yes, please don't get rid of your gold and your silver and your copper, but don't invest it in the stock market. Actually have the gold, coins and silver, and don't tell anybody where it is.
yeah.
And then also, it's going to be not only, cash and plastic and gold and silver, but yes, the cryptocurrencies. And it's also going to be the barter system, one service for another. For example, someone may want a reading from me, but maybe they have something that I need or want. So I'll say, okay, I'll read for you and trade. Can you, I don't know, let's say 20 things of honey that I want,
Yeah, yeah,
and we'll trade it off that way. So that's really the way of the future, is going to be a lot of bartering. And yes, these, cryptocurrencies. And I also want to say that I think it's important to know that well, I have my hot picks here, but I really want to say again that I don't want people to look at this like, okay, I can jump in and this is where I can make all my money. Because again, you really have to have a pure intent. Even, yes, I know to a lot of people, money equates to freedom. That's how they see it.
yep.
But I always say, cryptos can be tricky. Don't be greedy on this. And, meaning put your money in, but you got to know when to get in and get out.
Yeah, don't just keep riding it up and up and up and up and up and up and expecting, well, I need a hundred times return on that one, or it's like, look, when it goes up, good, get your money out. And I try to tell people the same thing. Look, I may be able to point out some of these good ones that are coming out, and I've got a pretty good track record thus far. But it's like, I'm I'm putting you in these guys, but I'm not going to be telling you to get out at any specific point. I said that everyone's different. Some people may have an enormous amount of debt in their life and they're really trying to hit a home run on something. They got to wait a little longer or something. Whereas someone else might only have a little bit of debt and they don't need to get, this big 10 times return coin. They can settle for making, 3 times their money or something. Get
Exactly.
out. There's those,
Exactly. That's the thing that I really want to emphasize on. It's really about knowing when to get in and get out.
yeah.
And you really have to pay attention to that on a daily basis if that's where you're putting your money.
All right, so let's get into some of these coins, shall we?
All right, let's do this.
All right,
Okay.
go for it.
So, of course, Bitcoin is a good one. I see this one staying in as a long-term currency, but at the same time, I see our government getting their sticky little fingers in Bitcoin. Okay?
Yep.
Hold on here. Just give me a second.
And this was stuff you'd come up with on the 24th, right? February.
Yes,
When you
right
did
here.
because it was gonna be for your blog post originally. Then we decided, hey, let's do it
Yes.
on Joe's channel, and then we'll do it together.
First, give it, yeah. So Bitcoin is good for now. Like I said, long-term currency. Today's market, it's like what, 9,733.
Yeah, it was then. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That was then. I'm sorry. But I want to say this, it's a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
It's really going to be a roller coaster ride for all of these, but that is one of my hot picks. But Bitcoin Cash is where I would tell my people to go, because this is going to be bigger than Bitcoin. And the government is not in it yet. And Bitcoin Cash will be the very thing that originally that Bitcoin was supposed to be. So Bitcoin Cash is the next big thing. And that's where I tell my people to put their money now.
So
And
you think it's gonna because when Bitcoin Cash came out, which is essentially it forked off of Bitcoin, changed a few things, whatever, and the whole thing from then was like, oh, this was the Bitcoin vision from the get go, and that's why people love Bitcoin Cash. But there's almost like this feud between the original Bitcoin people and the
yes,
Bitcoin Cash people. And I'll be
yes,
honest, I thought this whole time Bitcoin, it just is the gold. It's going to act like gold. People don't care what it does or doesn't do, and it's just going to be great. But you're actually seeing Bitcoin Cash as
yes, because
V1.
I'll tell you why. Now, I'm not saying delete Bitcoin,
Yeah.
because it is going to stay for long-term currency. But it is going to have its highs and lows, like a roller coaster ride. But what I'm saying is that our government has already got their sticky little fingers into Bitcoin. And that's why I'm saying Bitcoin Cash is where I tell my people to go, because it's going to be bigger than Bitcoin and the government is not in it yet. Bitcoin Cash will be the very thing that the original Bitcoin was supposed to be. It's really, Bitcoin Cash is the next big thing. And that, again, is where I'm telling my people to put their money for now.
Okay.
Also, NEO, yes,
Yep.
NEO will be very big and powerful. It's China's equivalent to our Bitcoin. So you can buy in and then give dividends.
Yep.
Today's market is 118
And
up.
believe it or not, I think it was 140 since the last few days. It's already gone up that much.
You see what I mean? It's just crazy. Okay, so I guess I should stop giving out what it is. It fluctuates so much on a daily basis. And that's what I want to make sure that, like you said, Joe, I'm not here to tell everybody on a daily basis, okay, pull out, guys. Now's
Yep.
the time to pull out. Or, all right, now's the time to pull in. But a lot of my clients that know me and are regulars and go, I do this, they literally will call me and go, do I pull in or do I pull out? I tell you. Let's see. Let's see. Another one is OMG. Actually, it's OMISEGO, but I call it OMG, like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's how I say it too. It's Omisa Go, but we all refer to it as the symbol OMG. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love this one. Buy and hang on to it. It will increase, but slowly.
Okay.
Okay. Also, Theta, THETA. This is actually my top pick because it's in its startup stage, but I predict it's going to be the next big, huge thing. Eventually, it will be in the thousands.
Hold on. Let me make sure I heard that right. Because I didn't hear that one yet from Pete or anyone else.
Well, I told you, you're the first one to get the skinny.
Okay. So everybody who's listening right now, you guys know I've been leading them on with a carrot in front of their faces for like 3 days now. Not on purpose, because I love everybody. I love all of you. But I got to do it right? So everyone's waiting. Wednesday, 5:30 Eastern time. Joe, hurry up. Myself included. So this was the coin, everybody, that Pete, or as I like to call him, nickname Pistol Pete, that Pete called me on and said, I need help getting this. And it's also one that I've been, well, it's the one I've been talking about that I just wasn't able to say it yet. So this is that coin. Everybody listening right now, if you're unsure, this is that coin, THETA. And just a quick little spiel here before I let her finish what I thought I heard her say is thousands. I want to clarify in a second. One of the guys from the original founders of YouTube is behind this, along with, I believe it's Twitch. I think it's the Twitch gaming streaming video stuff. Two brilliant minds, because I didn't hear about this coin. I wasn't following this coin. Pete was not either, which is why he asked me, Joe, do you know about this? I said, no. How about you? He goes, no. But I've been studying it all night long for hours. It looks really, really good. I like the project. I like what they're doing. And just so everybody knows, this is a coin that it looks like all parties involved can earn some money off this thing, because it's like if you, and I'll try to explain this to you too, Michelle. Some of this may not make sense yet, but when I'm done with you in crypto stuff, you should have a great understanding as time goes on. But because there's just so much to this. But if I use my computer here at home, I've got fiber optic internet, high speed. Maybe you have that too. I've got a big old hard drive, whatever. If I let my PC be used in that network, the Theta network, to help stream content to other people who want to watch just think of YouTube, right? And rather than have all the content on YouTube servers at YouTube's data center, it's like peer-to-peer everyone. So a piece of the video gets streamed from all over the place.
Exactly.
And you get a token for helping out, so to speak. Not necessarily a token, but you get tokens. So it's almost like mining these cryptos, but not really. You don't have to mine them. You kind of get paid for doing it. The advertisers who want to put advertisements, just like on YouTube that we see when we press play and that little ad pops up, they have to pay with these tokens, these Theta tokens. So they've got to buy them on what I'm assuming will be the open market, like we see now, and all of us are holding on to these things. So that puts value on it. The person who does the video, in this case, like a guy like me who goes on YouTube, puts a video out there, someone presses play. When that advertisement plays, I get a little piece of that action, so to speak, and I get paid at the end of the month, just like everybody else does on YouTube. So it's the same principle, except they're doing it, they're tokenizing everything, and they're decentralizing it because it's on the blockchain, and it's like everybody can get a piece of this action. So I'm like, man, I think this is a brilliant idea. But I didn't know about it. None. And a lot of times I'll have people email me, Joe, check this one out. Joe, check that one. What do you think about this? And I get millions of emails. So I can't look at them all, but I don't remember anybody sending me this one. So I was, like, well, and I didn't know you at first. I'm like, well, who's telling you this, Pete? And he gives me the whole story. I know, of course, for days now I've been talking about it, so I know the whole story now. But he never said. Basically, his words to me were something like when he called you, when you said, hey, call me. Spirit said to have him call me, and he called you. And even he said, maybe I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he said something like, Pete, you got to get this coin. It'll make you rich, or it'll something of that nature.
Yes.
And you're saying, can you tell me? You just said, just like you said, when we get to Litecoin, you kind of said the same thing. It's going into the thousands, and we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Well, was it Litecoin too though? Because I think Litecoin, you
Well,
also
wait
said
a
was going,
minute. But I'm talking about THETA, right? That's my top pick.
and that's going to the thousands.
Yeah, and it's in its startup stage, but I predict it's going to be huge, and it eventually will be in the thousands.
And let's be clear for everyone listening, everybody. Um, she said at some point. That doesn't mean next week. That doesn't mean next
Exactly.
month.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean 6 months from now. It might not even be this year. Do you? And I'll just ask it since, of course, I got you here. Do you have a time frame you think, or is the Spirit telling you anything on a possible time frame of?
It's like you said. It's not 6 weeks from now. It's not 6 months from now. But uh, I won't go as far as to say it's not as far out as you think, as I know
Okay.
you're thinking right now in your analytical mind.
Okay.
It will go to the thousands. It's just something you'll see going, creeping up. And like I said, you got to know when to get in and get out. But yes, hold me to my
Wow.
word, it will go into the thousands. And then we have Litecoin. Litecoin, its projection looks really good. I see it going into the thousands.
And that's something I've just again I'm not I wish I had your mind and the connection with Spirit that you do, but I have to look at it technical and look at certain things and see how other cryptos performed. And it's
Sure.
like Litecoin's been out for a long time. It came out in 2011. Bitcoin was
Yeah.
really the first one, came out in 2009, and then Ethereum came out as well after that. But it's like Bitcoin went from pennies to dollars, tens of dollars, hundreds, thousands, now 10. It actually hit 20,000. Now it's back down to 10. Um, but then Ethereum came out at pennies, went to dollars,
That's
$10,
yes.
100, hit $1,400. Now currently today it's probably around $900 or so. Litecoin started out at pennies, went to dollars, and only
Yeah.
recently it was tens of dollars, and just very, very recently got into the hundreds. Like very
Yes.
recently. So it's like I'm trying to tell people my mind, my analytical view of this is that it's gonna follow the leader, and at some point it'll be just for that sake alone. But then I follow the guy that created this, named Charlie Lee, on Twitter, and he's posting stuff all the time, and I'm like, man, they've got some serious goodies coming for Litecoin. And he's telling you, hey, everybody, it's going to be 2018 that we're going to do these four things. And he listed these four things. And the fourth thing, he just labeled it as a huge surprise. And I'm like, what the heck does he mean? What's it going to be? Because he said what the other three were, but he didn't. What's that? Were
Gonna
you going
be
to say
good.
something?
It's gonna be good. I really love Litecoin.
And yeah, so let that be. Let everyone hear it. My favorite coin has always been Litecoin. Just it has been since it was $42. I'm over here on YouTube screaming at people,
It's
guys, get into
only
this one. I'm telling you, it's going triple digits. Cliff
yeah,
High and I, it's
yeah.
going. Please get into it. And a lot of people did. Makes you
It's
feel good when
actually
you
one-
give good advice. And it worked out for everybody. And you're helping people get out of debt and pay stuff off. There's nothing better than that. Than because I
no,
used to focus a lot on news stuff. Like where the hell's our country going, and it's not looking good. And yeah, but it still needs to be talked about, guys. Let's prepare for this. But then
exactly.
cryptos came along, and I'm like, hey, I can kind of split that and talk crypto and some new stuff. But now lately, it's like I talk a little bit news, but gosh, I just can't help myself with cryptos. It's like it's just the future, and that's what's changing people's lives. And I
It
mean, I'm
is.
getting emails. I paid off my house, Joe. I paid off such and such. I just got a new car that I needed so bad. Thanks to cryptos, I followed you over there. And I'm just like, I don't even know these people because I'm the one that's always talking. I'm on YouTube talking, and they just
Right.
listen. So I don't know what people are doing and realizing everybody's following me like a lead. I'm the follow the leader. And if I fall off a cliff, they're gonna follow me. So like you said, you got great power. You got to be careful. And there's been a couple
You
of times where I
do.
realized I got to be really careful with what I say. These people
Yeah,
will follow me off a cliff, and
they
okay,
will.
So please continue.
Well, I will say this, that true power, or rather, what is it, the term, is, no, wisdom. Wisdom is true power, but more importantly, the discernment of that wisdom.
Yep.
You know, and what I'd like to say, Litecoin was also one of my favorites, say top five. We'll put
Wow.
it in there. The other one is Ethereum. So Ethereum, and
Yep.
yes, it's going to be good. It will go up, cash out, because it's about when you get in and get out, timing. It's good for now, but it will come and go.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
you'll see with some of these cryptocurrencies where they'll come in and they'll, kind of creep up, peak, then kind of fade out. So a lot of them will come and come out. But the ones that I'm talking about, they're not going anywhere.
Okay.
Well,
So
except
there's,
for
are
the
you
one.
familiar with the very recent Litecoin Cash fork from Litecoin?
No,
So
that
another
doesn't
group
surprise
took
me.
a lot of this stuff's open source code, so you can kind of get it and change it and kind of create another crypto, so to speak. And Litecoin Cash forked from Litecoin, and the way it worked was anybody that was holding however much Litecoin you had at X date, which was several days ago now, from that day forward, you get 10 times the amount of Litecoin Cash. And it looked like it was just a cash grab, basically. Like we're going to create a new token, and everyone's going to get it, and we're going to trade on the exchanges. Um, if I ask you now about that, do you think you could? Will Spirit tell you about that, or is that something we can't do right this minute?
What?
If I ask you about Litecoin Cash, do you feel
No,
that
I
that's
actually, that doesn't surprise me at all, and I feel Litecoin Cash will also be very good.
okay? Interesting, and and it might be one of these reasons. I mean, this is me talking, everybody. Um, but a lot of times, you tell people about Bitcoins. How much is it? 10,000. Oh, I don't want that. I want something cheaper. Well, wait a minute. You can still buy a fraction of it, and math is math. If it goes up 10 times, you still get 10 times. Whatever you put in. No, but I want to own. It's like you. There's just something about owning a whole one of something that people love. So I feel like you're saying, if Litecoin gets into the thousands, people are
Yeah,
gonna be like, "Oh, I don't want
exactly.
to buy Litecoin; it's too expensive." Well, Litecoin Cash is only 200, or you know what I mean,
That's,
like that kind of a thing.
that's my point. And that's what I liked about Bitcoin Cash,
Cheaper.
because you can get it a lot cheaper, and it's going to be bigger than what Bitcoin was supposed to be.
Hmm.
And the government's not in on it
At least
yet.
not. Yeah, I would say at least not yet.
Yeah,
Their
yeah.
grimy fingers will get there probably eventually.
Let's pray not.
Yeah,
But,
really.
I feel really good about Litecoin Cash as well.
Good. All right. So it looks
Oh,
like.
and I
Yeah.
have many, many others, Joe. I have many others, and that will be put up on my website,
Okay. So we'll save the rest.
on my blog page.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Pull this back up.
Isn't there? I think there's what, at least 1,700
Yeah.
cryptocurrencies.
I don't know the
That's
exact amount.
crazy.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, there's and plenty will come and go. They already said, like, from last year, what they call an ICO, like, initial coin offering, where they first put it out there and you can get in. Um,
Yes,
47 or something, nearly half have already pretty much failed and went by the
ex-
wayside.
exactly. So that's why, really, these are like the ones that I feel really good about, and this is, where, yeah, these are my hot picks. How's that?
Yeah, I'm still shocked what you said about Theta. I mean, I just got to go back to that for a second. What told you thought was it? Spirit literally said it's going in the thousands. Can you run that one by me? How that?
Yeah, Spirit was the one that gave me the information, and I was like, wow,
So
okay,
so you're
great.
giving this person a reading, the Pete's friend, and they're asking you about investment advice and whatever, and then all of a
Oh
sudden
no,
Spirit.
no, no, Theta didn't come through Pete's friend.
Oh,
That just Theta came through with, just for example, like I said, before it was even called cryptocurrencies, I had already called it virtual currencies before any of these cryptocurrencies came out, saying, listen guys, we're going to have a new form of money amongst the people, but I refer to it as kind of like a black market.
yeah.
Why? Because the government isn't in on it, but they want to get in on it, and they already are with Bitcoin. So it's a lot of them will come and go, but these are the ones that I feel really strong about.
Well, I just can't even think about that. Theta, which, but like right now, I think it was around 14 something, 15, maybe 15 cents. And I think the only reason it was there because it was just recently 12 and a half, 13 cents, and it was like 11 and a half cents, and then back up to 12. And I have a private group, a trade, what we call a trade calls group, where I have a friend of mine that's a real good former Forex trader, and he realized that it's rigged. Like you're saying, it's rigged, and they
Yes.
know every move you're going to make. You can't. It's hard. It's to make money. It's just I'm out. And did this years ago. But then cryptos came along, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to try my skills. I still have the skills. Let's see if it works over here." And it's been phenomenal. It's working like a
Yes.
real market's supposed to work. So he's just loving life.
Exactly.
And he's like, look, maybe we can get a trade call group where I kind of do my work and pick some of these coins that look like they're going to pop, and we'll give them to people in this private setting. So I told those people the other day, guys, I'm going to give you this one first. This basically Theta. You guys deserve it of everyone that is with me. So I gave it to them, and I think just by giving it to that group, it moved it from like 12 cents to 14 cents by telling them. So the fact that you just said what you said, I'm actually scared to release this video and see what the hell's about to happen with the price of Theta. It's probably about to go through the roof just because of what you just said. And it is what it is. People can do what they want. But again, everybody listen up. This isn't investment advice. This is spirit talking to her. And like we said, only put in what you're willing to potentially lose. No, don't put in more
Right.
than you're willing to lose. Put in what you can lose.
Be
But
smart. This is not your, income from your job. This is something that, um, you have to look at it. If you have a little extra cash and you want to put it somewhere and you feel good about it, you've done your homework, but I want to emphasize again, it's about knowing when to get in and when to get out. And I'm not going to be there every day to say when to get in or out. And I'm sure you, Joe, are the same. You're not going to be
right,
there
I
for
won't.
them,
Yeah.
to say, hey guys, get in or get out.
Yeah, and because again, then all of a sudden not that it's your or my responsibility, but people kind of tend, it's really easy to place the blame on someone else. Well, you said, so it's like I don't
Exactly.
want that. You pick the time to get out, and maybe if
Exactly.
I happen to get out, I might do a video later. Oh, by the way, I sold all those already. I'm been out of those for a little while, and just leave it at that. But I don't want to. I've realized I can't come out and do that because again, the people will follow me off a cliff, and I may have my reasons why I wanted to sell that particular one. I wanted to get some profit out of that and put in another one rather than you who needs to sell off to do something else. It's like it's just not my responsibility. I'm going to talk about them, but I'm not going to tell you
And
when
I feel
to
the
get out.
same way. Yeah, I feel the same way.
So listen, it was a fantastic time having you on my show. I'm going to talk to you in just a second after we end the video, but I want to give you one last plug. Everybody, her website again is Michelle. That's two L's. MichelleWhitedove.com. I'll put all these links and things in the description box of this video. She is available to do readings and things. Is it safe to say you have a few months of a backlog typically?
Yes.
Okay, just so FYI, and that's pretty common in that space, especially with someone of her caliber. Be lucky it's only a few months, I should say. So again, all this stuff will be there. She's going to be in Lilydale, New York, this summer, August 25th, giving her audience messages and whatnot. You can make that. I'm sure that'll be really exciting. So again, I'll put up all the links for everybody and everyone else out there. I'm sure you're probably rushing to the exchanges. I told him earlier, I was like, I'll tell you there's 3 exchanges you can get it on. I'll tell you before I do the video. I'll upload a quick video, tell you which ones to make sure you have an account there so you can get it as soon as possible, once you hear what it is. And I'm actually going to be monitoring it tonight just because it's probably going to be kind of funny to see the price of the thing pop. And
Watch and see.
and for me,
Well,
because some people will say, oh, well, Joe, you could say something and move the market up and then unload the coins on, while it's going up. And I'm like, my conscience doesn't allow that. Every single Theta coin that I've purchased, everyone hear this now, I won't be selling one, even as that thing might be pumping tonight. My conscience is not, I can't sell to you guys getting in. I'm waiting for this thing to go where I think it needs to go. And now that I kind of
right.
have an idea, holy cow, what you said, my goodness, I don't even want to think about what that equals. Just that's crazy. But I'm gonna get my family out of debt. I'm gonna get my sister's house paid off. Like I'm thinking all these good things that I can do with some of this. some coworkers
Well,
possibly. You
yeah,
know,
it's Joe. It's all about having a pure intent, and you have that.
yeah,
I always tell people, remember, just don't be greedy. That's all.
yeah, that's it. Exactly, because and money. Let me everyone listening. Let me tell you something. You get your hands on some money, it becomes
Yeah.
easy to get greedy and
Oh boy.
ego and you kind
Oh
of
yeah.
change and you just gotta try to stay humble and do what you can. But hey, if we can get people out of debt with this stuff, and
Well,
that's all I really care about.
Spirit did say though that this was for the people.
Yeah,
When I first even mentioned it, and they said this is for the people, not the government. This is for the people. So it's pretty powerful.
excellent. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. Hopefully, we can do this again, and I'll stop the video here and we'll chat for just a second.